From the front pages of your newspaper to the front of your television screens. Hello viewers and welcome to it. This is your weekly dose of The Headliner. And of course, we bring you the captivating stories, separating the noise from the facts, and of course, giving you the most relevant and accurate information. You can trust us here on ZBC TV to do exactly that. And my name is Kurtley Gwindi, your host for today. And I'm not by myself with regards to everything that we'll be discussing amid a bug of influenza that has hit the country recently. Government has dismissed fears that Zimbabwe is being ravaged by the COVID-19 virus. The country has not recorded a single case of this particular variant of the virus, but the speculations have led us to come today to be able to set a way forward, as well as set the record straight with regards to this story that is obviously very trending and is making headlines. And in studio today to be able to unpack all this and more, I am joined by a pharmacist as well as a medical specialist, and this is none other than Muparadzi, who is helping us shed more light and set the record straight. Thank you so much, Nicholas, for joining us on The Headliner today.
Thank you, Uncle Kate, for inviting me today.
Yes.
To talk more about the flu,
yes,
as well as drug abuse.
Yes,
Thank you.
Absolutely. And we will be also discussing all things to do with drug abuse. So you'd best stay tuned here on The Headliner. But before we do all this and more, we're going to have a look at the stories that have been making headlines this week. We kickstart with The Herald, which pays particular attention to a headline that reads, "Let's proudly protect our national interest." Now, this was said by President Emmerson Mnangagwa while addressing a plenary session at the 10th CEO Roundtable Conference yesterday. He said Zimbabweans should be proud of their nation. And that particular story is taking us all the way to Vic Falls, where the CEO's Roundtable has been happening. And if you have been tracking our viewing here on ZBC, you definitely don't want to miss some of these utterances by the president as well as other regional and local leaders. And we move on to the Financial Gazette, which tagged Zim FDI Outlook PEPs notably out. And the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency, ZIDA, released its 2023 fourth quarterly report recently, which showed that the country was attracting significant foreign direct investment, especially in the mining and energy sectors. Now, that's a positive development in the country as we move towards the Vision 2030. Paying particular attention to leaving no place and no one behind. And we shed more light with regards to the city of Kings and Queens, where this particular publisher is based, and that is the Chronicle of the 13th of June, which was tagged Bulawayo Complex Eases Students Accommodation Wars. Now, the newly contracted Bulawayo Students Complex in Selbourne Park has transformed the living conditions of students at NUST, which is the National University of Science and Technology, and other tertiary institutions in Bulawayo. Now, that is a particular very, very sturdy development that is being taken on with the local leadership in Bulawayo, as well as with regards to growing our economy and the education sector at large. And with regards to headlines that we are bringing you today on The Headliner, that brings a wrap. We are going to be getting into our second segment, where we will be discussing all things to do with the influenza bug as well as drug abuse here on The Headliner. You don't want to go anywhere, as I am joined in studio by Muparadzi, a pharmacist as well as medical specialist of note. Don't go anywhere. This is The Headliner.
Hello, welcome once again.
Hello viewers and welcome back to it. This is the second segment of The Headliner, and as mentioned earlier, if you're just joining us, we are joined by Muparadzi, who is a pharmacist and medical specialist of note, and at the very same time we are going to be tackling all issues to do with the influenza bug that is also coming to a likeness of COVID-19, as many publishers have come to the stand also just discrediting the fact that there has been no case that has been brought forward with regards to it having symptoms of COVID-19. Now, Nicholas, I know earlier you had mentioned to me prior to this interview that this is all about symptoms, but how best do we differentiate the two? This influenza bug that has ravaged our nation and particularly even the region in this winter season. How best are you going to differentiate influenza and COVID-19?
Thank you, Uncle Kate. Well, just to highlight on the main differences. So when it comes to COVID-19 or other viral infections, the symptoms are more pronounced and they are more severe. For example, we'll be talking of shortness of breath, we'll be talking of severe runny nose and stuffy nose and many other symptoms.
Yes, absolutely. Now, tell us briefly about the circulation. How viral has it become? Because, you know, we have heard reports from all over. And some are crediting it to the season, the winter season, but at the very same time, some are also giving credit to the fact that there's a lot of, you know, human interaction, and you know, some of the gatherings are super spreaders. How best can you comment on that?
Okay, for this, when it comes to this flu-like symptoms that is being experienced by the public, I would like to bring to your attention and highlight the press statement that was released by the Ministry of Health, by the PEMSEC of Ministry of Health, Dr. Emma Onganidze. So in the statement, which was released on 26 May 2024, there was reassurance that the flu-like symptoms is just a common cold, and evidence has shown that during the winter season there is always an increased incidence of common colds, and there is no viral pandemic in Zimbabwe. So it's just a common cold that is associated with the winter season that we are in.
And taking it back to what I've just referred to, so should people still be very wary of perhaps you know, practices such as washing hands, you know, even public gatherings? Do you recommend them to still keep happening in light of this, especially in this season where you know, it's also, like you rightly said, it's also the winter season, and some of these problems are then exacerbated because of the weather? How best can people also be able to fight this common cold?
Okay, so when it comes to fighting this common cold, there are about 4 ways which you can use. The first one being living a healthy lifestyle. This includes regular exercise and eating a healthy diet, which consists of fruits and vegetables. And also the second way is to take a lot of fluids. Always rehydrate your body. Then the third way to fight against these common colds is to stay warm, add an extra blanket, make sure you're always putting on some warm clothes. Then lastly, you should look for common cold remedies that are over-the-counter medicines that are found in pharmacies.
So I was going to say, you are a pharmacist yourself. you have to include some of that you know, sneaky way of speaking about what you're doing. But more rightly, perhaps you can even share with us from a statistical level. Has there been a boost in sales with regards to perhaps vitamins within your field? You know, cough syrups, flu med, you know, all these medicines that particularly fight, all these drugs that particularly fight the cold. Have you seen a rise and spiral during this season that we are talking about?
Yes, I have seen a rise in when it comes to the number of people that are actually using these common cold over-the-counter remedies. And of particular importance, they are mostly the cough mixtures, which can contain antitussives, antihistamines, analgesics, and there are also supplements, vitamin supplements. They include vitamin C, and other remedies such as med lemon and so on.
Okay, absolutely. And the remedies, of course, are intertwined with natural remedies in some circumstances. Now, we did speak during the COVID-19 pandemic. It takes me back because there was a word, kunatira. There was zumbani. Those words ring bells during that time. Have you, can you recommend some of these remedies, these natural remedies that we exercised back then to be adapted to fight this common cold?
Okay. In this common cold, what I would recommend as a pharmacist is for you to talk to your pharmacist, visit the nearest pharmacy, ask to see the pharmacist, and they will probably recommend to you over-the-counter common cold remedies. They can be
So tablets. Are you saying no to natural remedies?
Well, I'm saying if you are interested in quality assured, efficacious remedies, always use common cold remedies that are found in pharmacies.
I recommend
and
it.
Also, whilst you are on that, we should also not forget to talk about antimicrobial resistance. So you see, common colds, they are caused by viral infections, and as such, antibiotics, they are not recommended in such. They do not work, the likes of amoxicillin. So always talk to your pharmacist and they'll give you the proper registered medications.
All right. That is quite insightful. And, taking a look at some of the cautions as well as information that you've brought to the table, you did speak quite rightly about, a circular that was released by our Ministry of Health. And perhaps there was also statements that were released in connection with this particular common cold. How best do people then access information? Taking a look at some of the toll-free lines and phone numbers that have been given to distribute this information about what people are currently facing.
Okay. So when you want to stay updated with the latest news, you should go to the website. There is the website of the Ministry of Health, and there is a social media handle for the Ministry of Health, which is MOHCC, and there's also the toll-free line for drug and substance abuse, which is 0714 647 002.
Okay.
And you can also even reach out to the Pharmaceutical Society of Zimbabwe on 0781 170 515. Okay,
so this is how people can particularly also get the information as well as treatment, which is obviously brought to us by our government as well as the pharmaceutical boards you represent. We definitely respect that conversation that is coming around with regards to this common cold. We do hope that if you are sneezing or coughing from wherever you are, you did hear from Nick himself with regards to ways in which you can eradicate as well as annihilate this flu that is going around. I know many have not been going to school, not going to work, and even failing to meet deadlines and tasks simply because of this flu. However, a solution has been brought by Nick, and we do hope you have been staying tuned as well as listening. Now we are going to be getting into our third segment where we are discussing all things drug abuse, as this is the month of mental health for men, sometimes even caused by drugs, and secondly, health at large for men. And I do know that in this past month we were talking about the World Tobacco Day. So all these things are encompassed within the conversation that we are going to be having with regards to drug and substance abuse, brought to you here by Nick Muparadzi, who is a pharmacist as well as a medical specialist. You don't want to miss this third and last segment here on The Headliner. Stay tuned.
Hello, welcome once again.
Thank you, viewers, for staying with us. And if you are just joining us, this is your weekly dose of The Headliner. And today we're all things to do with a medical care, as well as making sure that the human body is well taken care of. We were discussing the current trending, as well as very, very rampant flu bug that is going around. And if you are just missing it, please play back a little bit. You'll get to hear Nicholas Muparadzi, who is still here in studio, pharmacist as well as medical specialist, who is now giving us his offering with regards to drug and substance abuse. Now, it's been a long time coming, Nick, since this conversation was supposed to be had on the headliner. I think, we do have a national mandate to be discussing this here on ZBC, but at the very same time, what is your take and statistics, the picture, the bigger picture at large with regards to drug and substance abuse in particularly our nation, Zimbabwe?
Okay, thank you, Uncle Kate. Well, I'll start by saying that, you see, drug and substance abuse, it's a threat to public health, the national security, social stability, and even economic growth. So I would like to bring your attention and highlight the 11th post-cabinet briefing that was released sometime back on 23 April 2024. And, I was happy that when I was reading it, I found out that the President, His Excellency, has actually set up a national committee on drug and substance abuse. And this committee is action-oriented. For example, there are more than 6,000 people have been arrested, and they include more than 600 suppliers who are supplying the illegal drugs, and there were also more than 5,000 end users. So you see, this is a threat to national security. And there are also other things that have been done. Public awareness campaigns have been ongoing, and even the churches, they are participating in the fight against this pandemic. And also, there's also the establishment of the psychosocial support centers here in Zimbabwe, and there was also the purchasing of psychotropic medicines, which are used to treat patients who are suffering from drug and substance abuse effects, and so many other things. Just to mention, there's also the youth service program in Zimbabwe, which will occupy the youth. When they are trained, they will have less time to go and sit around at the bridges and so on.
All right, yeah, we commend the government, of course, for such huge and massive strides with regards to everything that drug and substance abuse is being done to be fought. And at the very same time in this fight, which is particularly a very, very personal point for me, because it is directly affecting my youth, the people within our landscape of age range. And perhaps let me just circle back to what you were saying. You were talking about suppliers and end users. How can we create perhaps a rift between the two? We are talking about drugs like cocaine itself. We do hear that there's a recent trend of ketamine, which is a dog actually used to sedate dogs. There is use of methylene, pethidine itself, meth, crystal meth, things like mutoriro, etc., even banje being weed, and all those things. But at the very same time, how do we create a rift between these two, the end user and the supplier himself?
Okay, thank you for bringing this up. So the suppliers, when we are talking of the suppliers, we are referring to those people who are actually enabling or participating in the sale of these illegal substances, which include bronchlear, crystal meth, marijuana, amphetamines, cocaine, and so on. And also, other arrests and licenses, liquor licenses, have been cancelled when the sellers or the service providers, they were not adhering to the international or to the national regulations and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. So the conversation then continues. How best can we eradicate totally? We do know that with regards to our National Youth Day, we did speak at large. This was the Robert Mugabe National Youth Day, which happened on the 21st of February of this year. There was a talk of a particular eradication of drug and substance abuse, particularly amongst youth, because they're the most affected by this pandemic, which is what we would like to call it. How best can we create avenues in which youth are not necessarily drawing themselves into drugs? What else can they draw themselves into?
Okay. So thank you for bringing this up again. So I would like to refer you back to the 11th post-cabinet briefing, which was released on 23 April 2024. So there was mention of the Youth Service in Zimbabwe program. So programs like this, they will train the youth, they will equip the youth with skills. They can be entrepreneurship skills, and when they are equipped, they can now venture into businesses and they can start making things, doing action, and when they are occupied, they will have less time to think about drug abuse, and this will also have an impact on the economic growth of our nation at large.
Yeah, and what kind of skills are we talking about? Are these soft skills? Is it going to be courses, in particular, actual menial tasks? What kind of skills are being talked about in this program?
There are a lot of skills. There are a lot of skills that are going to be developed as a result of these programs. And from what I read from that post-cabinet briefing, some of the skills will be soft skills, and some of the skills will include, doing actual things. For example, carpentry, metalwork, and so on.
Okay, no, that's fine, and that is obviously creating employment on a larger scale. Now, let's just look at some of the statistics that obviously are ravaging our nation at large, as well as some of the parts of our region, where we are looking at young people being particularly out of those 6,000 that are arrested, over 70% of them being young people. What does that say about occupation, and what does that say about interest? What does that say particularly about the particular energy that is being given to this drug and substance abuse?
Okay, thank you, Uncle Kate, for that. So to answer that, I would like to extend the responsibility to you as well, and to the nation at large. Let us all join hands and deal with this drug abuse pandemic as a nation. Let us educate our children. Let us educate our youth, because you find out that in some of these instances, people abuse drugs because they are not aware of the long-term effects.
In your view, is there enough awareness that is being done?
Yes, there's a lot of action that is being done, and there's still more that we can do.
Absolutely.
There's
so the awareness is there, but it's not enough.
Yes.
Okay.
So more awareness campaigns are ongoing that are being carried out by the government, churches, and so on. So they really educate people, and when people are educated about the dangers, they become aware.
Absolutely. Nicholas Muparadzi, a pharmacist as well as medical specialist of note. Thank you so much for joining us on the Headliner today.
Okay. Maybe before I leave, I just want to say out the toll-free number for the drug and substance abuse.
Quite right.
The number is 0714 647 002. It's a toll-free number. If you have a net online, it's for free.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much for that. And of course, you do now know where to go with regards to the conversation that circles around drug and substance abuse. If you feel there's a case that needs to be reported, or if you feel like you are yourself a victim of this pandemic, there is that particular line that you will be able to reach out to. And of course, reach out to the Ministry of Health once again. That is MOHCC on all social media platforms to be able to, just to speak a little bit as well as give your viewpoint. And of course, you should not forget to follow us at ZBC News Official, where we bring you the headliner every end of week, rounding up all the conversation with regards to the trending headlines, the captivating stories, breaking them down, and obviously giving you the facts. We speak two languages rather, English and facts. Now, thank you so much for joining us here on the headliner. This is a wind up to our weekly program for today. Please do join us again next week. My name is Kurtley Gundi, Kurt by name and not by nature. Until next time, keep scrolling.